Stop. Stop everything you are doing right now. Stop scrolling. Stop sipping your coffee. Stop whatever was pulling at the corner of your mind 10 seconds ago. Because in the next several minutes, here on Royal Report Daily, we are going to take you inside the most explosive royal story of our entire lifetime. Without a single filter, without a single favor, and without a single shred of fear. Welcome to Royal Report Daily, your most trusted source for breaking royal news and exclusive investigations. Tonight we are covering the question that every serious royal watcher has been quietly asking for years. The question that the mainstream press has been too cautious, too polite, and frankly too afraid to ask out loud. Can Prince William, the future King William, force Harry's family to take DNA tests to prove their royal bloodline? Or will he simply remove them from the line of succession entirely? And what will it actually take for Prince Harry to escape the marriage that has consumed everything he was? Don't forget to subscribe to Royal Report Daily and hit that notification bell so you never miss a single update. I want you to picture something. Actually picture it. Close your eyes for one heartbeat and see it. You are Prince William. You are in your 40s. You are the future king of the United Kingdom. You stand to inherit a 1,000-year throne, a 1,000-year crown, a 1,000-year reputation. Your face is going to be printed on the currency of an entire nation. Your name is going to open the constitutional sessions of 15 countries across the Commonwealth. The eyes of the entire planet are going to be fixed on you the moment the title passes. And 6,000 miles away, somewhere in the sun-bleached hills above Montecito, California, your younger brother is raising two small children whose place in your bloodline has become, let us not pretend otherwise, the most quietly debated, most internationally whispered, most uncomfortable question in modern royal history. So what do? Do you call a press conference? Do you demand a DNA test on global television? Do you send your private secretary into the hills of Santa Barbara with a courier envelope and a swab kit? Or do you let the institution itself, that ancient, granite-cold, 1,000-year machine, do the surgical work for you, the way it has done 100 times before your name was ever stitched into the cloth of the crown? Stay tuned to Royal Report Daily. We bring you the stories that matter. Here is the truth as I have come to understand it after years of accumulated, painstaking, granular reporting. William would prefer they did the right thing. I know that for an absolute fact. I have heard it from people who have stood close enough to him to feel the weight in his voice when this exact topic comes up. But here is the wrinkle. Here is the thing you have to truly, deeply understand. William also acknowledges, quietly and privately, that they are never going to do the right thing. They are never going to walk back across the Atlantic with their hands open and their heads slightly bowed and say, "We are sorry. We are ready to make this right." Because when, and I mean this seriously, when have Harry and Meghan ever done the right thing in this entire 7-year saga? Take a full moment. Comb back across the timeline. Try to find that single morning, that single afternoon, that single carefully worded statement where Harry and Meghan stepped forward and said, "You know what? We got that one wrong. We are sorry. We want to make amends." You will not find it. It does not exist. Across every single chapter of this saga, from the engagement interview to the Megxit announcement, from the Oprah Winfrey special to the Netflix series, from the Spare memoir to the brand collapse, the pattern is always, always, always the same. Double down, attack, blame, project, and then when the noise gets loud enough, do it all over again with a fresh accusation and a fresh camera crew. So I would not say that William is in any way relishing the idea of having to strip them. There is no glee in his voice when this topic is raised. The opposite, in fact. There is exhaustion. There is sadness. There is the long, slow grief of a man who lost his brother years ago and has been mourning him in quiet ever since. But is he prepared to do what has to be done? 150%. Because he understands the level of risk that these two grifters now pose directly to the institution he has spent every conscious second of his entire life preparing to inherit. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to Royal Report Daily for more exclusive investigations. Now to the DNA question specifically, because I do not want you to walk away from this with anything less than absolute clarity. Could William demand a DNA test? Of course he could. The crown holds powers both formal and informal that most people do not begin to appreciate until they see those powers actually wielded. The crown can rewrite the line of succession. The crown can issue letters patent. The crown can revoke styles. The crown can authorize investigations that move with the quiet, devastating efficiency of an ancient machine that has been doing this for 1,000 years. But will it ever get to the point of a forced DNA test? I am going to be completely and brutally honest with you. No, it is not going to get to that point. And the reason is not that William lacks the spine for it. The reason is far simpler and far more elegant. He simply does not need to. Look at what happened to Prince Andrew. Because what happened to Andrew is the dress rehearsal for what could happen to Harry. And anybody paying attention can see the choreography. Andrew, the favorite son, the Queen's golden boy, the Duke of York, the man who once stood feet away from the throne. Watch what happened. Watch how quickly, how surgically, how silently the machine moved. The military titles were stripped. The royal patronages were taken away. The HRH style was effectively retired from public use. The man was removed from the public face of the institution as if he had been carefully edited out of an old family photograph with a steady hand and a sharp blade. And here is the part that should make every honest royal watcher sit up straight. None of it required a vote in Parliament. None of it required a public referendum. None of it required a DNA test or a court case or a media circus. It required exactly one thing: the will of the monarch. The quiet, granite-cold will of the man or woman wearing the crown. So when you ask whether William has to force Harry's children to take a DNA test, you are asking the wrong question. You are asking the question the tabloids want you to ask. The real question is this: does William need a DNA test when he already has the full machinery of the crown sitting in his hand? The answer is no. He will simply remove the threat by other means. He will let the institution do what the institution does. He will let the silence and the slow procedural removal do the work that a DNA test could only do louder and uglier. Don't miss a single update. Subscribe to Royal Report Daily right now. Think about what those births actually looked like to the rest of the world. Think about every other royal arrival in modern memory. The famous step photographs outside the Lindo wing. The hospital appearances. The brief, joyful presentation to the cameras. The carefully released images. The traditional notice on the easel outside Buckingham Palace written by hand in beautiful calligraphy. Now contrast that soberly and honestly with the way the announcements landed from California. The vagueness. The delayed information. The shifting timelines. The almost total absence of independent verification. The questions in the public mind did not arrive by accident. They arrived because the information vacuum was so unusually wide, so unusually unfilled, that the human imagination naturally rushed in to fill the space. And once those questions take root in the public mind, they are very, very hard to remove. And honestly, between you and me and every single person watching this right now, that may be even more devastating in the long run. Because a DNA test, however the result lands, ends the story. A quiet removal from the line of succession, on the other hand, leaves the question hanging in the air forever. Forever. The doubt becomes the legacy. The doubt becomes the only thing those children inherit. And William did not write that script. He is only going to be the man who closes the curtain. Subscribe to Royal Report Daily and stay ahead of every royal development. Now there is a second question, even larger, even darker, even more personally devastating than the first. And it is this: is there anyone left in Harry and Meghan's circle who is still willing to tell them the truth? And if there is, will they actually listen? Yes, there is always someone willing to tell the truth. The deeper problem is that there has always been someone willing to tell the truth. From the very beginning, from the engagement, from the wedding, from the first months at Nottingham Cottage, from the move to Frogmore, from the day they touched down in Vancouver Island, from the moment they walked into that Tyler Perry mansion in Beverly Hills, there has not been a single chapter in this story where some loyal, professional, often desperate human being was not standing close by trying to give them the truth they did not want to hear. Let me tell you about Sarah Latham. Remember that name because Sarah Latham is the perfect painful case study for everything that is wrong with the way this couple consumes the people around them. Latham was a real player, a consummate professional, a communications operator who had worked at the very highest levels of American politics, including time inside the Clinton operation. The Sussexes recruited her with great fanfare. They paraded her around like a trophy. Look, we have a real one, a heavyweight. And what did Sarah Latham do? She did her job. She told them the truth. She told them how they were being perceived. She told them how they were being received by a public that was beginning to lose patience. She told them that the alliances they were torching were the very alliances they would need to survive in the long run. And what happened to Sarah Latham? They fell out with her. They burned the relationship to the ground. They retreated into the echo chamber of yes people who would tell them only what they wanted to hear. And here is the beautiful, almost cosmically just twist. She stayed in the world of the British royal family. She helped organize the Platinum Jubilee, one of the most successful royal celebrations in modern British history. She found her home in a court that actually wanted to be served by serious professionals. And the Sussexes were left chasing the next disposable consultant willing to flatter them into the ground. Hit that like button and subscribe to Royal Report Daily right now. And Sarah Latham is just one name. There have been so many others. Catherine St. Laurent, first Chief of Staff in the United States, lasted barely 11 months before walking out. There was the communications team that turned over with the regularity of a revolving door at a department store. There were the household staff at Frogmore who left in tears. People tried. People always tried. They tried gently. They tried sharply. They tried in writing, in carefully drafted memos that nobody ever read. They tried over quiet cups of tea in sunlit kitchens. They tried in difficult conversations in chauffeur-driven cars, pulling up outside the Frogmore gates on wet British afternoons. And what happened to all of those people? They got bullied. They got harassed. They got publicly discredited the moment they no longer served the narrative. Some of them were driven into genuine mental health crises. I am not exaggerating that for dramatic effect. I am telling you what I have heard directly. I have spoken to people whose entire careers and whose mental health were quite literally dismantled because they had the courage and the professional commitment to tell the prince and the duchess the truth about the path they were walking down. There is a group, a quiet, scattered, traumatized group of former staff who refer to themselves only in the most private settings as the Sussex Survivors Club. The name began as a dark joke whispered at dinner parties in London. But over time, it has become a real informal network. Men and women who serve the Sussexes inside Kensington Palace, inside Nottingham Cottage, inside Frogmore Cottage, on the tours to Australia and New Zealand and Africa. They keep in touch. They check on each other. They share the kind of stories that you will never read in a tabloid because the legal apparatus protecting the Sussexes is too aggressive and the non-disclosure agreements they sign during their employment are too binding. But they know what really happened. And one day when the legal walls finally crack, some of those stories are going to come out. And the public reckoning will be seismic. Royal Report Daily, bringing you the truth behind every royal headline. Now to the part of this question that every honest royal watcher really came for. What will it actually take for Harry to get away? And here is where I need you to lean in. Harry is unhappy. Harry is profoundly, achingly, soul-deep miserable. He has not been seen with the easy, careless joy of his younger self for years now. The boy who danced through the Caribbean. The young man who threw himself into the Invictus Games with muddy, sweaty, magnetic energy. The prince who stood at the back of Westminster Abbey at his brother's wedding with that goofy, half-embarrassed grin. That young man is gone. He has been gone for a long time. What sits in his place is a man who looks haunted in nearly every photograph that has surfaced over the past 2 years. The eyes are different. The shoulders are different. The energy is different. You have all seen it. But here is the trap. He is also literally trapped. Trapped is not a metaphor in this story. Trapped is the geography. Trapped is the legal architecture. Trapped is the financial dependency. Trapped is the emotional landscape that has been carefully and deliberately constructed around him over the better part of a decade. Don't miss a single update. Subscribe to Royal Report Daily right now. People keep asking whether Harry could pull off a Katie Holmes. And I love that this theory keeps surfacing because it tells you everything you need to know about how much the public wants to see him free. But let me break it down for you properly. Katie Holmes had been married to Tom Cruise since 2006. By the time she made her move in the summer of 2012, she had been planning her exit for months. She used disposable phones. She used a small, fiercely loyal inner circle of family and lawyers. She rented an apartment in New York under conditions of absolute secrecy. And then, with the precision of a military operation, she filed for divorce in New York, a jurisdiction specifically chosen for its more favorable custody framework. Tom Cruise read about the end of his marriage on the front page of the newspapers. Nobody around him saw it coming. The whole operation was over in 11 days. 11 days from filing to settlement. She walked away with primary physical custody of her daughter and a settlement that by most accounts was overwhelmingly favorable to her. Now apply that template to Prince Harry. Where is his Robert Holmes, the seasoned attorney quietly running point in the background? Where is his secret apartment in another jurisdiction? Where is his secret inner circle of family willing to risk everything to extract him? Where is his independently controlled bank account in a state outside the reach of California family courts? The answer is the same in every single case. Nowhere. He does not have any of it. He has spent the last 6 years systematically dismantling the very infrastructure that would have made a Katie Holmes-style escape possible. And that is not an accident. That is the design. And here is something you have to understand, because this is the part the mainstream press never properly explains. That is one of the major reasons she always wanted to get him into California specifically. Not Toronto, not Vancouver Island, not back to a quiet life in the British countryside. California. Specifically the part of California that sits inside the jurisdiction of family courts that lean structurally and almost overwhelmingly towards the mother in custody disputes involving young children. Once Harry was in California, the trap was set. The message effectively became, "You are with me for as long as I want you to be with me. And the children stay with me for as long as I want them to stay with me. And if you change your mind, good luck." Because there is no court of law in California that is going to allow you to walk out of here with those children in tow. Not without years of legal bloodshed. Not without millions of dollars in fees. Not without a public spectacle that would shred whatever is left of his reputation as a present-loving, dedicated father. Subscribe to Royal Report Daily and stay ahead of every royal development. And the isolation. Let me say a word about the isolation because the isolation was always the central design feature. Isolate him from his family, from his father, from his brother, from the godparents and the school friends and the polo crowd and the army buddies and the charity colleagues and the staff who knew him as a boy. Isolate him from every single person who was warning him in private rooms in Kensington and around quiet dinner tables in Norfolk that this marriage was going to consume him whole. And the isolation worked. Every single day, he wakes up under that California sun 6,000 miles from anybody who knew him before the fairy tale began. So how can he do a Katie Holmes? He would have to leave his children behind, even temporarily, even for the strategic months it would take to construct a credible legal escape. And whatever else you can say about Prince Harry, however many catastrophically bad decisions he has made over the last decade, the man genuinely loves his children. So he will not walk. He cannot walk. And she knows it. She has always known it. The children are the deadbolt on a door that was never meant to open from the inside. Do I think the marriage will eventually collapse? Absolutely yes. Under the pressure of the financial desperation that is coming down the tracks. And listen very carefully. The financial desperation is coming. It is not theoretical. It is not speculation. The Spotify deal is gone. The Netflix relationship is on visibly shaky ground. The book tour is unrepeatable. The speaking circuit is finite. The product launches stumble out of the gate. The Sussex business model was always predicated on one specific assumption, that the world would continue to pay an enormous premium for unfiltered access to Prince Harry, the wounded prince in exile, and Meghan Markle, the misunderstood Duchess. That assumption is collapsing in real time in plain view in front of all of us. Hit that like button and subscribe to Royal Report Daily right now. But here is the line I want you to take away from everything we have covered tonight. The line I want playing in your head the next time you see a carefully staged photograph of the Sussexes outside a fancy California restaurant with smiles that do not quite reach the eyes. Every great house, every great institution, every great dynasty has faced this moment. The moment when the future has to decide whether to drag the past with it or to leave the past behind on the shore. And William, when his moment comes, is not going to be the man who hesitates. He is not going to be the man who debates. He is not going to be the man who calls for a DNA swab in front of the cameras. He is going to be the man who simply, quietly, irreversibly closes the door. And here is the part nobody is talking about. The part that should be keeping every single person inside that Montecito compound awake at 3 in the morning. Time. Time is the variable that nobody on the California side of this story has fully understood. William is younger than his father. William will in all likelihood reign for decades. He will be on that throne when the children are teenagers. He will be on that throne when the children come of age and start to make their own decisions about who they are and where they belong. He will be on that throne when Meghan Markle, the architect of the entire estrangement, is no longer the dominant voice in their lives. And when that day comes, when the next generation is finally able to think for themselves and weigh up which family they want to know, the entire calculation of this story changes. Time is on William's side. Time is on the side of the institution. Time in the end is the longest, slowest, most patient weapon any monarchy has ever wielded. And William knows it. This has been Royal Report Daily, bringing you the complete truth behind the most important royal stories of 2026. If this investigation gave you new perspective on what is really happening inside the Sussex world and what is coming next, please hit that like button right now. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Share this video with everyone who is following this extraordinary story. Turn on your notifications so you are always the first to know when we publish our next exclusive report. Because the story of William, Harry, Meghan, and the future of the British monarchy is far from finished. Every thread leads back to the same dark, glittering tapestry. And Royal Report Daily will be right here, pulling at every single one of them, until the full picture is finally revealed. Stay informed, stay connected, and we will see you in our next report.